Hello, welcome back. We are here for the MLB DFS breakdown for May 9th. As always, if you are not a subscriber to LineStar, you probably should. And also, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube. Helps us out, helps us continue to give all you guys free content. And being a member of LineStar is only $29.99. Now, before we jump into the slate, we got a 10-gamer. Starts at 4:05 Pacific time, 7:05 East Coast time. We have one spot where it looks like there is some weather issue, and that is Padres at Twins. Now, it does look like the game probably plays, but there is a high chance of a delay in game. With that, you probably don't want either starters. Just we'll start there. Now, get into our pitcher ownership. Highest owned pitcher on the slate is Andrew Heaney, 35.3%. Now, it's kind of interesting to me that Heaney is the highest owned when he has not been that great, and he's going against a tough team in the Mariners. However, Mariners do strike out 26.6% versus lefties. They also don't have a very high WOBA, so the team is much worse versus lefties, but it is still a decent offense. And Pivetta just has not been very good. 5.29 FIP over his last 5 starts, 4.9 FIP over his last 20. We know Heaney, I think I said Pivetta, sorry. Heaney is a guy that can either have a really good game or get blown up. With him being high owned, I think it is kind of interesting taking some Seattle stacks here just as a leverage spot, and we can get more into that later. 28% combined K rate for Heaney today. So that is why he is high owned. There is some high upside on this, but understand the range of outcomes here. Heaney can easily go negative or he can go for 30 plus. That is his range of outcome. Being a high-owned guy, I'm not as sold on him. Now, we got Clark Schmidt coming in next. It's Versa, favorite punching bag in the Oakland A's. Oakland has been hitting a little bit lately, but Clark Schmidt just has some upside here. Oakland, 25% K rate versus righties, and Schmidt, 26.7% K rate over his last 5 starts. And that's 25% over his last 20. So there is some really nice upside here. 25% combined K rate. And you're talking about a pitcher at 6K. It is very interesting. I also saw that his strikeout prop line today was like 6.5 Ks. So sportsbooks are expecting some high strikeouts from him. And I think we can as well here. And at 6K, probably a guy you want to consider here. And then we got George Kirby, 32% owned, 9.1. This guy has been very good to start the year, 2.58 FIP over his last 5 starts. But dating back into last year over his last 20, it's a 2.34 FIP. This is elite levels. The one thing about him is over his last 5 starts, he hasn't shown huge K upside, only a 16.8% K rate. However, his normal is 23%. I expect him to be more of the 23% guy than the 16. Another thing to mention about that, this is a guy that strikes out batters at a much higher rate at home, where his last 2 starts were away, and 3 of the last 5 were away. At home, he does strike out like a batter an inning, so that K rate is going to be more like that 23%. So I think he's in a fine spot. Shohei is obviously always in consideration. I love that he is not the highest owned pitcher. He may very well end up being that, but he is pretty expensive right now, which might keep his ownership down a little bit. Logan Webb is always in consideration, especially against the Nationals. Nationals aren't going to K a lot, so the upside might be limited. However, he's probably going to work 6-7 innings and be able to rack up some solid outs there. Now, low-owned guys that are interesting, I think you got to kind of consider Charlie Morton just because nobody's going there. Now, this is probably the best hitting weather on the slate, but if they don't hit him, that weather doesn't really matter. So I think Morton is a little bit interesting. 3.94 FIP over his last 5 starts, 4.3 over the last 20. StatCast data looks good. This Boston offense, however, is good versus righties. They limit strikeouts, 350 WOBA, 180 ISO. So I understand you not wanting to go there. It's a reason why he is low owned, but I think it is an interesting option. Jesus Luzardo is another interesting option. And then Brandon Paft, which he is a young prospect, has high strikeout upside in the minors, but he just got shelled his first time out. 4.2 innings, gave up 7 earned runs. So he is low owned. People aren't going there. I think he makes a very interesting cheap play, especially if you want to go maybe Ohtani and Paft, and then you'll still have money left over to go to some higher priced stacks. Now, flipping over to FanDuel, Shohei leading the way on ownership, as he should be. He is expensive, but he's the best pitcher on this slate with the most upside. Kirby coming in next. You know I like Kirby. Heaney is third. Now, on FanDuel, with Heaney much lower owned, I would be more likely to go to him on FanDuel than I am on DraftKings. Webb's in a decent spot. Clark Schmidt, 8.7% owned. We know he has solid upside. He's going against Oakland. I think you kind of got to like that as well. Now, let's get into some stack attacks. And the highest projected on the slate is the Dodgers. Now, this is against Eric Lauer, who Lauer is a decent pitcher. What's really bringing it up is the splits. Dodger hitting info, fantasy points per plate attempt. They 2.05 per plate attempt. So that's what we really like here. I don't love the Dodgers. Lauer is a decent pitcher, and their bullpen is pretty solid. So I don't love it, but I absolutely understand going there. I do have, however, like the Braves stack here. Our second highest owned, going against Nick Pivetta. We also have a good umpire for hitting. Pivetta, 5.14 FIP, 4.85 over his last 5 starts. But he's given up over 2 points per plate attempt, and the Braves, the splits were really working for the Braves, and barrel balls are really working for him. So I really like the Braves. Boston is in the similar hitting weather, or the same hitting weather as the Braves, so I do like them also. We know Charlie Morton is a good pitcher, but he also can get blown up, similar to kind of Andrew Heaney, but maybe not the upside as Heaney. And Dodgers are all over this. Padres, I do like the Padres. So as I mentioned to start the show, there is some weather there, so watch this as it comes up. But one of the things that's really interesting to me about this game is because there very likely may be an in-game delay here, it means Varland may not go very deep into this game, and that the Twins are going to have to rely on their long relief. Their long relief is not very good, so I think it really works into the Padres' favor if there is a delay. There is a lot of ifs with that statement, though, so be warned there. Now let's get into the highest projected owned, and White Sox, just like yesterday, highest owned. You know, they were decent yesterday. We got the Braves coming in also as a higher owned spot, which one thing I should mention about on these big slates, when you have 90% P-own percentage, that's not high enough for me to totally get off just because of ownership. There has to be some other reasons why I want to get off of them. And they're going against Jordan Lyles today, who Lyles has not been great. 7.23 FIP over his last 5 starts. I think you got to like that. 5.19 over the last 20. He's just not a very good pitcher. It makes total sense why people are wanting to go to the White Sox today. Now, let's check out some value stacks here. So we got KC, we got Washington. I'm not in love with going to Washington. I do not mind going to the White Sox. And I don't mind going to KC. KC's been hitting the ball pretty well. They put up 12 runs yesterday. And Giolito, we know, can get blown up. He is a solid pitcher, though. 3.75 FIP over the last 20, 3.44 over the last 5. But I could see going there if you want to put some expensive pitchers into your lineups. And highest ceiling is Texas, who it seems like Texas has been routinely our highest ceiling team lately. But it's against George Kirby. Kirby's good. He's just going to have to get blown up early and get into that bullpen early to reach that ceiling. And hitting, Brandon Paff is there, so it's going to be all him. He has just got absolutely blown up his first outing. Now, he's a much better pitcher than what we saw that outing. Can it happen again? This is a second start in the MLB. Absolutely could happen again. And because of that, if you want, you can absolutely stack the Marlins here. As you can see, they are hitting pretty good. Now let's hit on the teams, see if there's anything else. So I really do like the Braves. The Yankees aren't popping up on our stacks right now, but I think they should. Oakland pitching has been absolutely awful. It's really the gift that keeps on giving. And their bullpen's terrible. I think you can go to the Yankees. Also, Aaron Judge might be back in the lineup today, so keep an eye on that. If they aren't the highest owned, they probably should be with the Braves. And then can always go to the Giants, picking on Patrick Corbin, especially when the Giants aren't high owned. And I think I did mention I like the San Diego. You could also say the same with Minnesota. Waka has been decent. He has had blow-up games, but then this Padre bullpen is bad. I hate if we do have a delay, the Padre bullpen has to come in. You can absolutely pick on them. And then the Brewers. I really like the Brewers today. It's a little sneaky spot. It's going against Syndergaard, who 5.42 FIP over his last 5 starts. But he also allows a ton of stolen bases. So I think that it just brings up the floor of this whole Brewers team. And if they can get into the bullpen a little bit earlier, I think there's really a chance the Brewers are scoring some runs here, and nobody's going to be going there. They're going to be super low owned. So I like that. Flaherty got absolutely blown up last time out, so maybe it could happen again. We know he hasn't been great for the last couple of years. And then Seattle. Andrew Heaney hasn't been that good. If he is higher owned, there's major leverage going with Seattle. So I think that will do it for us today. A lot of different ways. We got a 10-game slate. It should be fun. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our video. And I will be back with you tomorrow. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Bye.